I've got a card today done with the ecliptic edger, but it makes a great background for you too, so I want to show you how you can use that. We've got several products we're using for today's video. The sentiment comes from the Creative Expressions set called Sweet Wishes. We're going to be using the Victoria from the Frames and Tags, the Center from the Ella for a sentiment, and this is the ecliptic edger, and we're going to be using the larger piece here to make our background out of. So I've done a bit of cutting ahead of time using the ecliptic edger, and what we need to do is do 4 rows of this. So I find it's easiest if you really want to be get them nice and straight, just grab a ruler, and I'm just going to line up the edge of the cut die with this line going down the ruler right here. So if I just hold that into place, I can pop this down and a little bit of tape. Push it right up and just check that it's even top and bottom, and we can tape that into place. So they should be at least very close, if not spot on. I'm going to run this down, the cutter going the same direction here, so it runs forward and back. That's the best way to cut a die. Use my tool-in-one to take out some of the bigger pieces. There we go. Take that off, and there's just a few bits here. We'll poke these out. There we go, and let me just give a quick tidy. So you can see I've got a really nice evenly spaced background. Now I've done one ahead of time that I've added some mounting foam to, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I've cut a piece of blue Dusk card, and it's just about 5.5 by 5 3/4. And I've added a piece of self-adhesive sticky sheet to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on top of it, and so I don't waste a lot of glitter, I'm going to actually glitter through the design. Peel my backing off. And I put some strips all the way around the edge. There's a little border. And then between each of those die cuts, there's room for another row of mounting foam so it won't sag at all. Put that into place. I'm going to bring in the Sparkle Star. And I'm just going to give it a little coat through each of these die cut areas. And bring in a piece of copy paper, and we can move it around and get all that background coated. But that way your mounting foam will stick to the sticky sheet, and you won't have to worry about it adhering to glittered areas. And then we can just move this around so that it coats all of those areas. And if you see there's a little bit that still needs a tiny bit more, like up in this tiny corner, I would say, a little bit right in there, you can add a bit more. Move it around, and then any leftover bit, tap it out, shake it onto a piece of copy paper. There's very, very little there. Tiny itty bit back into our container. Okay, so now I've got a really pretty background. Let me move this out of our way, and I'll move forward. I've got some backing that I've done. And since the colors on the card are blue Dusk, coconut white, and black, I've added those into my mats and layers with a paper pierced top layer. Put that right into place. There we go. So the next thing I want to do is finish this little bit. I've gone ahead and cut one more out of the blue, and I put a white backing, but I just want to add some little teeny black accents to that. So I'm going to go back to that same die. Let's clean it out, make sure it's got all of its fall away taken out of it. Oh, a little bit of tape there. Okay. And I'm going to go and use a piece of black card for this. Tape that. Just center it, and we can trim that when we're done. Quick run through. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and trim this so it's the same shape as the die. And what I want are these little teeny pieces. I'm going to see if I can actually keep them in the die. Let's see if we can do that. That one needs to stay. That one. Pop that through. Yeah, there's two there. I find it's easiest when doing these to remove all the bits you don't want. A little bit of tape in the way. Okay, and I'm going to bring in this piece here, add a little bit of glue into these sections. It's a very small amount. In fact, I tell you, I would move it around with a pokey tool. There we go. We'll do the last one in a second. What you can do is bring this over, line it up in place, and pop it through. Hopefully lining it right up where it needs to go. I'm off just a hair there, I think. Okay, we'll come back and add in those other bits. There we go. And got these in here. Put that in, that one, and I'm missing a few. I'm going to have to look for them. There we go. Okay, and a little bit of glue, and we'll get that last little guy in. There we go. Move that around a little bit, and there. Okay. Okay, in fact, you can even take a little bit of an adhesive eraser and take off some bits that might be showing. But that just gives you a tiny little black accent, which will tie in with the rest of the card. I think it's just enough to really make a difference on the card. So I've added some mounting foam to the back of these. We are going to seat them along the bottom edge and the top edge of the card. There we go. Put that right up. In fact, let me turn that around, be easier. Okay, so we're building up our background. So for the center of that, I've already cut the Victoria in white with a black background. I will put that in the very center, like that. And I've stamped my sentiment in black. I'm going to use the center of the Ella, which has a beautiful sort of oval, fat oval die in it. And tape is, there it is. Tape this into place, just make sure I've got it nice and centered. Give that a quick cut. Okay. And I'm going to do a little bit of inking around the edge here, so let me just take my tape off. That in place. In fact, I'm just going to catch the edge of that, hold it down. And bring in some Stormy Sky. I've got a smoothie. Just going to do the lightest bit of blue around the bottom and the top. There's a bit of an open area that's just screaming out for a little bit of color. There we go. That'll do the trick. Don't forget to put your die back. And a bit of mounting foam on the back of this. And I'll tell you what else. I forgot, I've cut a little bit of a blue shadow out of that same exact die. So what I'm going to do first is tape that into place, just to give it a tiny little highlight of that blue top and bottom. Just spread them apart about 1/8 of an inch, just enough to give really tiny little shadow to it. Put my mounting foam on the back. And then we will seat that right in the middle of the Victoria die. Okay, and there you have it. I love the way the ecliptic edger makes such a beautiful background. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video and look for us on our YouTube channel soon.